Hey guys, Marcin here bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle video. And so earlier today, of course, we got the information about the EZA for the LR, Hit and God Goku. Something that was very much anticipated by the community, right? I made a joke out of it in the title of my video that, you know, this was absolutely no surprise to anybody that this is the EZA that is coming out. Or at least is an EZA, I guess we should say, coming out as part of Golden Week. Because I talked about in the days leading up to today the possibilities of the different things that we could see. Because, of course, we have Goku Day, Gohan Day, Goten Day coming up very soon. So the EZA did not necessarily have to be one of the ones we were expecting for Golden Week and could have been something else. However, the whole point of the video, as you can see from the title and the thumbnail, is it's quite interesting that this being the EZA that we are getting right now certainly does seem, with some of the other evidence that we have of what could be going on as part of the Golden Week celebration, this does seem to have very much narrowed down, at least in my opinion, what we could potentially be seeing as the Golden Week Part 2 LR. Now, there's a couple of reasons for that, and obviously we're going to go over them here now. So make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Do check as well if you think you are subscribed, because I've had a couple of people tell me in the last week or so that they've been randomly unsubscribed by YouTube. So do go ahead and check, even if you think you are subscribed to the channel. But yeah, we'll go ahead and jump right in. So obviously the big thing is we knew we were going to get an EZA around this time, because if we take a look at the OG wiki to look at the timeline, I've stopped using this site as much because it's been a bit temperamental recently, but I think it's the only one that has a timeline sort of laid out like this, which makes it very easy to see, like as and when things were coming out at certain times throughout the years. So it's quite useful to see that we got to this point last year around the beginning of May, and this is where we would have gotten like the Blue Kaioken Goku EZA, and then on the 8th is when we received the EZA for the Tech Gohan, right? So we were expecting an EZA to come out around this time based on last year, and obviously Tech Gohan last year being a Majin Buu saga, it fit both the themes of the celebration at the time and obviously the Gohan Day, and of course this time having Goku and Hit, technically it does fit being a Goku related card and is also relevant to the celebration. Now the reason why God Goku and Hit being the EZA that we're getting right now seems to be an indicator to me of what we could be getting in part 2 is if we take a look further down based on the previous year, we did not get any more EZAs until part 2 of the celebration. We had the part 2 LR and a bunch of EZAs come out on the same day, and then we got a super EZA a little bit later on. So it makes sense that we're not going to get any more EZAs in this Golden Week celebration until part 2. And of course we would hope anyway that the EZAs are going to be related to the part 2 LR in some way, shape or form. So that brings us back to, of course, like why Hit and God Goku potentially would be the hint for the part 2 LR, and that is this unit right here, right? Tech, Kale and Caulifla. Tech, Kale and Caulifla are featured on Hit's banner in the same slot that the AGL Kaioken Goku is featured on Goku's banner, and obviously he is in that featured slot. Yeah, he's an older unit, and these banners often include older units, but he is a much older unit than Tech, Kale and Caulifla. It's not like they picked two units released around the same time and then threw one on one banner and one on the other. He is in that slot on the Goku banner because he was getting a super EZA, right? So we said straight away, as soon as we saw the banner lineup, I've been saying this, right, that these guys must be on Hit's banner as one of the featured units because they are going to be getting an EZA during the celebration. It makes a lot of sense, right? Hit leads Universe 6, and to be perfectly honest, that team is really not all that, especially at the moment without any extra buffs. So if these guys are going to get an EZA in the celebration, which otherwise them being featured on the banner would be such a weird choice, considering how they are very outdated and essentially unusable at this point. If they're going to get an EZA, then it's got to be in part 2 around the same time that the part 2 LR comes out, right? And these guys obviously are a stacking unit that will then transform into Super Saiyan 2 Kefla. Now, they don't necessarily have a specific restriction for being run with other like Kale and Caulifla units or anything like that, but they are a unit that will definitely be very interesting, with events being a little bit longer now, being a stacker, then fusing into Kefla, giving you a heal, getting the built-in additionals, having built-in chance to dodge, extra attack when attacking, and then once transformed she still infinitely stacks attack as well. So obviously this card is going to be very interesting with an EZA, and does give us a lot of different options for the part 2, in my opinion, being related to Universe 6, right? It just makes sense that if they're going to drop the Kale and Caulifla EZA, then it makes sense to me that the Part 2 LR would be a Universe 6 character, right? Because we talked about a couple of different things on streams and stuff, like with the Universe 6 versus Universe 7 not necessarily being the theme of the celebration, because of course Kale and Caulifla and Kefla aren't involved in that arc and don't appear until later. Even if we got an option like, say, the Super Saiyan Vegeta that fights Kaba, right, and has like a finish attack where he transforms into blue, which is obviously how he finishes off Kaba, right, just goes blue and like one-shots him. Even though I guess like they are pure Saiyans, and I guess they would both be on like Super Saiyans, but like the Kale and Caulifla EZAing alongside the release of an LR Vegeta doesn't gel anywhere near as well as them releasing alongside a Universe 6 character. Now, obviously, you have to take it with a bit of a grain of salt, right? It's not impossible that they release a non-Universe 6 character as the Part 2 LR, and then they just EZA the Tech Kale and Caulifla anyway. But I think it makes a lot of sense for the Part 2 LR to be a Universe 6 character. As you can see, there aren't really a huge amount of options. We don't have a lot of different characters, right? We got a new Hit, we got a new Magetta. The big one, of course, that everyone is leaning towards is a new Kefla, right? We saw that art that was used on a banner a while ago and then like taken down and changed, because of course everyone just assumes the reason why that was done was because they'd accidentally leaked like unused art essentially. But that was quite some time ago now, and still not have seen anything come to fruition like from that. So I definitely think we could be seeing Kefla as the Part 2. If we look at the other options for like Universe 6, I mean, realistically, the only other option is a Kaba. I mean, we don't have one that is like a usable... Actually, there aren't any anyway, because this guy awakens into a Super Saiyan 2 one. So we don't have any base Kabas, so we could technically have a transforming base one. But, I mean, even if it would be good for the Universe 6 team, I feel like he could be one of the best yellow coin LRs, or like one of the best anniversary LRs in the game. And people are not going to be hyped for the Golden Week Part 2 LR to be Kaba, whereas we know that Kefla is definitely a much sought after pick. People have been wanting a new Kefla for ages, and of course we know now with the release of LR Pycon that the yellow coin LRs are now going to be 2 categories with 200% as their leader skill, right? So the thing that I think a lot of us are hoping to see, we don't want to see another base Kefla, because I mean this unit is dodge or die when it comes to difficult content for sure, but she can stack up to really good attack stats still, right? We used her in the Universe 6 mission in that Seriously Serious event. Like, she can definitely build up to still doing some good attack stats, but defense-wise, she's obviously not crazy. If the Part 2 LR was giving extra defense or damage reduction or something like that to teammates, then obviously that could be very helpful. But we don't want a base base Kefla, because it removes any possibility of her being like usable again, right? Because they're going to have the same name, at least until she transforms, I suppose. But one thing we don't really have is we have this physical Kefla. Obviously she's way past her prime now. Her EZA was a long time ago. She is a Super Saiyan 2 Kefla. We don't have any units that are just straight out Super Saiyan Kefla. Her SSR, when you first pull her off a banner, is Super Saiyan Kefla, but then once you awaken her into a TUR, she becomes a Super Saiyan 2, right? So we don't have any standalone Super Saiyan 1 like Keflas in the game. So I think that's definitely a perfect choice for a Part 2 LR. And then we look at like the categories that Kefla is on, right? when it comes to picking like what would be her 200% leads. Definitely with Hit having that as part of his leader skill anyway, definitely don't want like super bosses. Final trump card would be a really interesting one. I mean, we just got Goku as a full power lead, and we got Gohan from the anniversary as a full power 220, so I don't think that's necessarily a great choice. Rapid growth, again, is part of like Hit's leader skill, right? So not really something we'd want to go for. There's a lot of options, I guess, depending on whether she's transforming or not. Because whether or not we'd have power beyond Super Saiyan if she does transform into Super Saiyan 2. Potara would be interesting, but it's obviously not a category that outside of the anniversary Vegito has had a ton of buffs. Accelerated Battle would just be hilarious because we've had so many buffs to that category, and obviously Hit having a leader skill for it now as well. Final Trump card definitely would be an interesting one. Time Limit can obviously throw on a bunch of other fusions like Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks and stuff like that, so that would be really good. Fused Fighters potentially as well. And then of course, I mean, if she was a Super Saiyan 1 Kefla and just stayed as Super Saiyan 1, even having Super Saiyans as one of her 200% leads could be quite interesting. So there's definitely some interesting options for a leader skill. I know I saw some people who are big Kefla fans that want a new Kefla unit to come out have been saying like they don't want her to just be a yellow coin LR, but I'm not sure. I think that was a lot of that. I can't really say I've seen those comments since we got PyCon, because I know people want her to have like a good kit and a good leader skill and everything, but I think after seeing how good PyCon is, and now knowing that yellow coin LRs are going up to the double 200% leader skills, I mean, let me know, right? Like if you're a Kefla fan, hopefully Kefla fans would be more satisfied with her being quote unquote just a yellow coin LR, now that we know that they are going to be of a slightly higher quality, right? So obviously bear in mind, like I said, take all of this with a giant like pinch of salt. The whole point is, the title is, did they confirm the Part 2 LR by doing things in this order? Maybe they did, maybe they didn't, but it seems to me like we all knew that these guys were going to get an Easy A at some point during the celebration. But the fact that they've put these guys getting one off when we all sort of assumed these guys would also be a shoe-in. Like if these guys were getting the Easy A now, then we would be in a different sort of timeline, right? Where we know these guys are going to get one in Part 2, but the Part 2 LR could just be anything, because these guys are related to the main Dokkan Fests and are part of the celebration as a whole, right? Goku versus Hit. Whereas these guys, like them now getting an Easy A only when Part 2 has started, and essentially if it's the same time spot as last year on the same day that the Part 2 LR comes out, then it seems a lot more likely that the Part 2 LR is going to be Universe 6 related, right? And like I say, there's not a huge amount of options in terms of characters, and you've also got to think about hype and like marketing, and the game wants to make money at the end of the day, right? And LR Part 2 yellow coin LR cover I don't think is going to sell very well. Same with like, you know, a Champa, even like an LR Champa and Vados, which I know people have wanted to see, right? Like the equivalent of a Beerus and Whis. Even them I don't think would be super hype as a Part 2 LR, especially because they don't count as like tournament participants or Universe Survival Saga, because they don't take part in those tournaments, right? So they would only be a buff for like Universe 6 and then potentially like Realm of Gods. I mean, that could be an interesting team build. Imagine an LR Vados and Champa and their yellow coin leader skill is like 200% to Universe 6 or Realm of Gods. It would be kind of interesting, I guess. But yeah, I don't know if they would be hype enough to be like the Part 2 LR for a celebration like Golden Week. Because, you know, some people could say PyCon's not a hype choice, but he was for the sort of like April filler Dokkan Fest celebration Part 2, right? Whereas this is the big Golden Week celebration Part 2. So, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Do you think them releasing these things in this order, giving us the Hit and God Goku Easy A this early, means that Part 2 is definitely going to be related to Universe 6 or Kale and Caulifla because of the Tech Kale and Caulifla Easy A? Or do you think Dokkan will do... I mean, Dokkan doing things that don't make a lot of sense is certainly a thing that has happened many times. So imagine if like the Part 2 LR is something completely different from what we're expecting, and these guys don't actually even get an Easy A, which would be very odd. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Do you think this points towards a Universe 6 EZA LR as part 2? What would you like to see as the part 2 LR? Let me know all your thoughts down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.